Hello and welcome to ASMR Newsroom. Today we'll be diving into some important stories. Let's take a deep breath together and allow the news to flow gently into your awareness. The United States has recently made catastrophic cuts to its global aid programs, and the consequences are already starting to become apparent. A memo from a U.S. aid official who was fired for daring to speak out projected that the halt of $7.7 billion in funding for life-saving global health programs could lead to unimaginable suffering. Here's what the memo outlined. Between 12.5 to 17.9 million additional cases of malaria annually, an estimated 71,000 to 166,000 deaths from malaria each year, a 28 to 32% increase in tuberculosis cases globally, over 200,000 paralytic polio cases per year. In a worst-case scenario, more than 28,000 cases of Ebola or related diseases. Additionally, nearly 17 million pregnant women may lose access to life-saving services, and over 11 million newborns could miss critical postnatal care. An estimated 1 million children may not receive treatment for severe acute malnutrition. These cuts are part of a broader, heartless agenda. Domestically, Republicans are attempting to slash $880 billion from Medicaid and $230 billion from food stamps. Let's be clear. This isn't about fiscal responsibility. It's about cruelty. It's about dismantling the social safety net and leaving the most vulnerable to suffer. The ripple effects of these decisions are profound, both globally and at home, and they reveal a chilling disregard for human life. Next, let's discuss Rick Scott's hypocrisy and the attack on AOC. In politics, tensions continue to rise as Senator Rick Scott, a man with a history of Medicare fraud, has called for the arrest of Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. His reasoning: AOC has been hosting forums to educate immigrants about their constitutional rights, such as not being required to open the door for ICE agents without a warrant. Let that sink in. AOC is being threatened with arrest for explaining constitutional rights. Meanwhile, Rick Scott, who oversaw one of the largest Medicare fraud schemes in history, is walking free. This isn't just hypocrisy. It's a blatant attack on democracy itself. It's a reminder that those in power will go to great lengths to silence anyone who dares to stand up for the marginalized. Next, we have an absurd story about Trump getting a Nobel Peace Prize nomination. In a move that defies all logic, Representative Darrell Issa has nominated former President Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, the same Donald Trump who has threatened to bomb Somalia, steal Greenland, and annex Gaza. The same Trump who bragged about increasing drone strikes by 400% and nearly sparked a war with Iran by assassinating General Soleimani. This nomination isn't just laughable, it's dangerous. It's an attempt to rewrite history and whitewash the atrocities committed under Trump's administration. Let's not forget, this is a man who openly admires dictators and has repeatedly undermined democratic institutions. The fact that this nomination is even being entertained is a testament to the moral bankruptcy of the Republican Party. Moving on to the next story, Coffeezilla exposes the Tate brothers' crimes. In the world of investigative journalism, Coffeezilla has uncovered new details about the Tate brothers, Andrew and Tristan. The brothers, already facing charges of human trafficking and tax evasion, have been accused of using fake identities and shell companies to launder money. One of the most striking revelations is Tristan Tate's use of the alias Vladimir Scorpius, a name inspired by a James Bond villain. The brothers allegedly set up accounts under this name to move funds and avoid detection. These findings add to the growing list of legal troubles for the Tate brothers, who have been accused of exploiting women and evading taxes on a massive scale. What's truly disturbing is how figures like Trump have embraced the Tates despite their blatant criminality. It's a reminder that the powerful often protect their own, no matter how heinous their actions. And finally, here's another story you should be aware of. A recent report from Wired has revealed that business leaders are paying up to $5 million for one-on-one meetings with former President Donald Trump at his Mar-a-Lago estate. These meetings have raised serious concerns about corruption, as critics argue that such payments could be seen as bribes in exchange for political favors or insider information. This is the epitome of pay-to-play politics. While Trump and his allies slash Medicaid and food stamps, they're rolling out the red carpet for billionaires willing to pay for access. It's a stark reminder of who this administration truly serves. Not the American people, but the wealthy elite. As we close today's news, let's take a moment to reflect on the deeper implications of these stories. What we're seeing is not just a series of isolated events, but a pattern of power being concentrated in the hands of a few, while the most vulnerable among us bear the brunt of the consequences. The cuts to U.S. aid are not just numbers on a page. They represent real lives. Children who won't survive malaria, mothers who won't have access to life-saving care, and families who will suffer because of decisions made in distant boardrooms. And let's be clear, these cuts are not about fiscal responsibility. They're about ideology. An ideology that values profit over people, that sees human life as expendable, and that prioritizes the interests of the wealthy and powerful over the needs of the many. Meanwhile, the political theater continues. Calls to arrest AOC for simply informing people of their rights. It's a chilling reminder of how far some are willing to go to silence dissent and maintain control. And the nomination of Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. It's almost laughable. if it weren't so deeply troubling. This is a man whose policies have fueled conflict, destabilized regions, and emboldened authoritarian regime. To suggest he deserves such an honor is not just absurd, it's a betrayal of the very idea of peace. And then there's the corruption. The Tate brothers, with their Bond villain aliases and their blatant disregard for the law, are just one example of a system that rewards greed and exploitation. But they're not alone. From Trump's $5 million pay-to-play meetings at Mar-a-Lago to the dismantling of social safety nets, we're witnessing the rise of a kleptocracy, a government of, by, and for the wealthy. But here's the thing. It doesn't have to be this way. We have the power to demand better, to fight for a world where healthcare, education, and basic human dignity are not privileges for the few, but rights for all, where leaders are held accountable, and where the needs of the many outweigh the greed of the few. So, as you go about your day, remember this: the fight for justice, equality, and a better future is not just the responsibility of politicians or activists. It's on all of us. Stay informed, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay hopeful. Because change is possible, but only if we demand it. But through it all, don't forget to also take the time to relax. Find the peace within yourself, and then share that peace with the world around you. Thank you for joining me today. If you found this meaningful, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep fighting for a better world.